Video ni. Hi everyone, we're here in Maayo Hotel.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
We all know what happened during World War II, when the Japanese and the American people battling in the Philippines. But few of us didn't know what happened during the battle for Cebu City. Did you know that Cebu became a key to the end of the Japanese invasion? How is this significant in our history? This video will help you to know what happened during the World War II in Cebu City. During the Second World War, the Japanese invaded the Philippines in 1941 with an objective to rise to power and rule the neighboring countries and abort the Western and European influences around the area. In 1944, the U.S. Armed Forces started a journey to the Philippines with the aim to free nations from the Japanese power. But the enemy was too strong to be taken down immediately. The Japanese forces, on the other hand, were already making plans to shut down the US Army to allow them to conduct their master plan successfully. Why did the Japanese choose the Philippines? According to War History Online, it was because of the location and many other reasons. The Battle for Cebu City was a major engagement of World War II that occurred between March 26 and April 8, 1945 during the Second Philippines Campaign. After launching their campaign to recapture the Philippines at Leyte in October 1944, the Allies followed up that victory by dispatching troops to Luzon in January 1945. A month later, General Douglas MacArthur, the overall commander of Allied forces in the Pacific, began planning to take the rest of the Philippines. General Robert was then tasked with conducting a series of amphibious landings in the southern Philippines on islands between Mindanao and Luzon, including Cebu. Prior to the war, Cebu had been the Philippines' second most important industrial center, and it offered the Allies a harbor for future operations. The island was garrisoned by a force between 4,500 and 15,000 Japanese troops. These were situated mainly in Cebu City and on the central east coast. Following a preliminary bombardment, the battle began on March 26, 1945, when the Allies launched Operation Victor II. Staging out of Leyte, where they had conducted rehearsal landings 2 days earlier, a large flotilla of cruisers and destroyers from the 7th Fleet Task Force 74 escorted the Cebu attack group to the island. It was on March 26, 1945, on the beaches of Talisay when they had fight for the freedom of the island began. Under the leadership of Major General William H. Arnold, the forces assigned to the operation consisted of American Division 132nd and 182nd Infantry Regiments. Totaling about 5,000 men were landed on Cebu Island at Talisay Beach. U.S. cruisers and destroyers bombarded the beach to neutralize mines before the soldiers came up on the shore. But it did not fully clear the beach of mines. When 15 landing vehicle Amtraks hit land, 10 were destroyed. Realizing the beach had not yet been fully cleared, some of the troops were sent to the task, while the rest were at a standstill. After more than an hour of waiting, all remaining mines were cleared. The American forces successfully got on land and started mapping a route to Cebu City. On the way to Cebu City, U.S. forces did not much difficulty moving forward because the enemy's troops were disorganized. It was only at Pardo where they first met organized enemy resistance. around an hour and a half after US soldiers first landed in Cebu. But the biggest battle for our island's freedom took place at the Gotchan Hill. During the final stages of the battle, the mountainous parts of Cebu were also bombed and cleared at Gotchan Hill. The grueling battle lasted 3 days, killing 200 of the Japanese forces from in their bunkers and pillboxes with mostly flamethrowers. US forces tried to gain control of the airfield in Lahug in a single day, but failed due to the continuous mortar fire from the enemy. Despite the initial problems, the first day ended with the capture of 10 Japanese soldiers and 88 dead. For the US, 39 were wounded, but only 8 were killed in the battle, which was seen at the time of the war as extremely light. Japanese forces had retreated, consolidating in the north, following the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Emperor Hirohito ordered the surrender of all Japanese military forces. Unfortunately, the remaining Japanese troops in Cebu were living primitively on the island and did not have a working radio. Flyers were airdropped over the positions, indicating that the war was over. A series of notes was exchanged pinned to a tree, but the Japanese were skeptical. Finally, they were able to get in contact with their superiors and confirmed that the war was over. Arrangements were made for a formal surrender. On August 28, 2,600 soldiers marched out of the hills to an open field near Ilihan. General Taso Katauka presented his sword to Major General William Arnold. The Japanese piled their weapons on the ground, and the war on Cebu was effectively over. Over the next few days, thousands were surrendered. They were rapidly moved to the coast for travel back to Japan, under the watchful eye of American division troops. This wasn't so much for fear of Japanese treachery, but rather to protect them from Cebuanos, angry at their brutal treatment during 2 years of occupation. This is a liberation park. It is located in Barangay Poblacion, Talisay City. This park features 7 larger-than-life statues that honor Filipino and American soldiers who gave their lives to free Cebu from the Japanese army. Did you know that each of these statues costs 150,000 and is part of monument at the site where the American forces landed on the island? The park is now one of the favorite hangouts of locals. Residents in the area are aware of the significance of the monument in the liberation of Cebu and the country as a whole. Each year, a reenactment of the Talisay landing is held at the site. Representatives of the American and Japanese governments normally join the event. World War II veterans are also recognized. The Liberation Park in Talisay City serves as a reminder for us and the future generations of the sacrifices of our forefathers to liberate the country from foreign invaders. It also shows the special bond the country has with the United States during one of the dark periods in the history of the Philippines. Have you visited the Liberation Park in Talisay City already? Tell us about your visit in the comment section below.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Talisay Larawan!
And thank you for watching. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.